Hellebuck, buck. Hellebuck, buck.
If I sing along, does it look like I'm saying it? Probably not. Coming up on the DLS Stars podcast, we have a big show today. Luds, Sam, and I are going to talk about the two games that have already been played today over at the Olympics, as well as the one that we didn't get to talk about yesterday, Sweden versus Italy. Thomas Harley played today. Radek Faksa played today. They played each other, and they got into it. And the U.S. game will start against Latvia while we go. And we're doing a watch-along after the show. And Alison Lukan from the Seattle Kraken will be our guest in our second segment. And it all starts right now on DLLS. This is the DLLS Stars podcast on Thursday, February 12th. Hello from the lounge studio. Sam Nessler.
Hello.
Rocking the same hat he was wearing yesterday, but the U.S. is playing today. So good on you, Sam, for that. I'm Owen Newkirk. Ryan Vodder's our producer. And from somewhere between Blaine, Minnesota and Eagle River, Wisconsin, Craig Ludwig joins us. And Luds, I was going to ask you this off air, but we'll just do it on the air. I watched a thrilling men's 1,000-meter speed skating final last night, won by arguably the best male speed skater at that distance from Wisconsin. Are you familiar with young Jared Stolz?
I am now.
Yeah, he can skate, can't he?
16 years old. You know, I'll tell you what, like right from the start, his start was different from his opponent's start. You know, the one, and I felt like he kind of went into his stride and the other guy was still trying to get ready to take off. But what I loved about the whole thing is when they did the little preview with his dad and then plowing off the ice rink and stuff like that. It's so Wisconsin. It's so Midwest. It's not just necessarily Wisconsin. It's where I'm at too in Minnesota. But I just thought that was a really cool story and a good ending.
I was with you on that. When I saw the four-wheeler, as we call it, he called it an ATV, which is correct, but I always think four-wheeler with a little plow on it, and he's creating that ring on his pond. I mean, I was thinking, Luds, if you can skate, because the ice on a pond is not going to be like it is on an Olympic oval. If you can skate on that rough ice, you can skate on anything.
See, I thought the same thing. It's a good training tool. It's like you're kind of trying to work out for a relay race and you're running through 100 yards of mud. You know what I mean? And then you take those boots off. But then I started worrying too. Is he going to hit a little rut or a little bump and throw him off or tweak an ankle or something like that? So obviously they've been doing it for a long time and they've got confidence in there. Is that a rink? Was it flooded or was it a pond that's outside their house?
It looks like a pond outside their house.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
I was jealous because I grew up, when I learned to play, it was outdoors on the pond, not terribly dissimilar to that one in my parents' backyard. And then the fire department in Blue Hill, Maine flooded a little like field that was kind of down in right by the high school. So we had an outdoor rink with no boards there. And then there were ponds all over the place where we'd have, pond hockey games, literally, and lakes. And I'll tell you what, as much fun as skating indoors and you get sort of spoiled with no ruts and no weather and wind and the right conditions and stuff, there's something about hearing that deep boom of a crack in a lake where you're fine, but it doesn't sound like you're fine.
Yeah, there's a little bit in the back of your head that's going, and you kind of quick look behind you to see if it's opening up. So, yeah, I actually had a crack too. Late last night. So, all good. Everything cracks up here.
Always good when you're on I don't even know what are they, 1,000-pound sleds? Or are they not that heavy?
There will be no riding that particular sled anymore. That one's dead.
Oh, that kind of crack. Oh,
yeah. I blew the motor last night. So
No, see, Luds went right from first gear into the high gear. He didn't work
Yeah.
his way. He just said go.
Yeah.
And the thing wasn't ready, I guess.
next
Well-
man up.
Before we get into our lead topic, we're going to talk to Alison Lukan from the Seattle Kraken. She's going to be our guest in the next segment. I'm really excited to talk to her about twofold. One, the Mason Marchment experiment, which did not work for them, and also some of the trade targets. But in the context of Seattle might very well make the playoffs, so maybe none of those will be available. So we'll get to that a little bit later. The Luds, it's not just Luds now. We're doing full show damn Discord segment
wait.
is back for the first time, presented by Ownwell. So that'll be a lot of fun. USA game is going to start very soon. We're going to do a watch along right after the show today. So when Luds says goodbye, we end the show. We're going to switch over. Sam and I think GM Ben is going to pop in, and we're going to sit right here and watch the rest of the USA Latvia game when we get to that. So hope you can stick around for that as well, and we should have a lot of fun. So let's start with Luds. You didn't have a chance to weigh in yesterday, so I wanted to give you the floor first when it came to Finland, Slovakia, because I think we were all pretty excited to see the four Finns for the Dallas Stars play. What were your impressions of the game, and how surprised were you that Slovakia won that one 4-1?
Well, I think you'd be lying if you said you weren't a bit surprised, that because we were all talking about how difficult it is to play against the Finland and the four Finns from Dallas. The first thing that comes to mind is it probably gives everybody, and especially teams and players at the event, that knowledge that this isn't just playing a certain team. Anything can happen on any given day, and a goalie can stand on his head at a particular time. But I do think that it's probably a good lesson for being, I don't want to say overconfident, because I know that all these players know that, but sometimes you take your foot off the gas a little bit because you're playing a team that, you're supposed to win the hockey game, and probably not as easily as playing against a Italy team. But again, that wasn't even easy for the other guys. But I just think if anything, they're going to come out of here learning something about it. And it's not like they're out of this tournament. So, they got a 1 foot tied up a little bit here. But from the standpoint of the game, I thought it was a good game. I don't see anything in that Finnish team that's going to tell you that this is going to be what's going to go on from here forward. I just think they may even get stronger, when something like this happens, and now they have their little powwow after the game, or at dinner or something like that after the game. And guys, this was one little blip, and maybe hopefully this is the only blip on our radar.
Did you have any strong feelings or takeaways about Miro, Mikko, Rope, or Esa and the way they played and looked in that game?
So as much as I got to see the game, and I probably got to see 2/3 between riding to that bar and riding to that bar and staying in the
By the way, if people didn't see, and I didn't ask Ryan to pull up the photo, but Lud sent us a picture of being lakeside in between rides, getting rehydrated, which is very important. Sun is shining, only a couple of little artistic clouds in the sky. Luds, it looked like it was perfect sledding weather up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was great, and everything was shut down, obviously, outside there, but the weather was awesome. Next 3 days, it's supposed to be like 40-some degrees.
Jeez.
So, that's good and bad. At the trails, and there's a big thing going on up here, so there'll be a bunch. Every weekend there's more sleds up here, churchy thing. But, I guess what I was waiting for, and I didn't see it, I didn't see guys jump off the page. I didn't see, when we see Mikko play the game, he just stands out every night, right? And I think that the same thing in watching Miro. I expected to see that all, as dominant as he can be against NHL guys, and for whatever reason, I didn't feel that. And I just wonder sometimes, are they trying to make sure, because they're big minute guys, right? Those two guys for sure. They play 30 minutes a night for the most part, close to it. Are they trying to make sure they share the wealth, and they're not going to be overplayed, not going to overplay themselves and stay out there? And I don't even know what the minutes were. You guys could tell me. Did Miro and Mikko get close to any of their minutes played that they do on a night-to-night basis?
I know Miro was 27 minutes, I believe. Esa was 24, I think, somewhere around there.
Well, I guess that's normal for them.
And I think Brandon was like 17.
I would expect when you start chasing the game a bit, those are the guys that are probably going to get the majority of minutes. So, but again, like I said, I didn't see anybody that really jumped off the screen for me and said, "Man, that's the same guy that we see all the time." So, but again, I think that's an opponent that knows they have to put their A game out there and do the best that they can. And they probably had a game plan against them and said, "Listen, this is our best opportunity. How we're going to hang with this team as long as we can, get a couple key saves, and there you go."
So let's talk. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Sweden-Italy final because it was going on. We were watching it during our show yesterday. So let's go to that, and then we'll talk about the two today, because obviously Canada played, U.S. is about to play, Germany and Denmark are also going to play concurrently at the other rink, which I believe is across town in Milan. But what were your thoughts? I mean, first of all, Slovakia winning was a surprise. I would say it's an absolute upset of Finland. But as Lud said, maybe not the end of the world because everybody progresses, and maybe that'll sort of shock the system of the Finns a little bit. Italy hanging around with Sweden as long as they did was a big surprise. I thought they were going to get steamrolled, and they put up a pretty good show.
They did, and I know that they scored their first 2 goals. Their only 2 goals on the first 4 shots. A couple of mistakes from the goalie, but they hung in. You need goaltending when you have any chance of an upset against teams like that, and I think the shots were 60 to 15 or something. I believe they hit 60, which is a record since NHL players have played at the Olympics. Just one of those games where they even had to switch out the goalie because he got a little dinged up in the third period after making like 48 or something like that saves. But they hung around and they battled, and they had a chance there. They had a couple chances in tight around the net when it was. I don't remember if it was still
60 to 22
or,
final
there
shots,
or if it was 4-2. But either way, they were hanging around there. And then that last goal, that second one that made it 4-2, really you knew it was over. They had no more than 1 goal left in them. They could have maybe emptied the tank, had a chance to put one in off a leg or something like that. But it was just fun. The fun part about the Olympics and the 4 nations and any of that stuff, I guess 4 nations a little less because it's only 4, but is these games where you just don't feel as good as you thought you would if you're the team, right? For us, we're not invested in Sweden winning this game, so it's just fun to see them get a little, sweat a little bit, start to get a little nervous, start to play with the puck a little more nerve-wracking, start to think, hey, we're dominating, but we're not putting it in the net. Maybe we need to do something else. That's how you get closer and closer. So I was excited. I thought Italy had a chance to put one in and make it 3-3, which would have been so cool. But it was just fun to have them in there, and it was cool that all the awesome stuff for Italy happened while we were live on the show.
See, Sam, I think that's the best part about this kind of an event, is that these kind of things can happen. And now what you're looking for is you're looking to see how teams adjust and how they turn things around and how their game changes, and maybe more importantly, their mentality about how they approach their next opponent. And then now, for a team like Finland, now all of a sudden, you know what, we can't afford to slip anymore. We've got to get our game out there. But I just love the part of this kind of tournament to where sometimes teams take other teams lightly. And obviously that didn't happen with Canada today. But and then again, here we go. I know you guys are going to get to it, but the whole Binnington steps in there and gets a shutout.
Let's talk about that quickly before we go to Alison in our next segment, Luds, because the U.S. game has started. They thought they scored already. They did not.
Ryan needs to pause
Ryan's
his
losing
stream
it behind the camera over there, thinking he's ahead of us by
telling us what's
15
going on.
seconds. But Luds, I don't think it was a perfect performance by Canada, but I thought it was an ideal game for them in the sense that it wasn't easy. The Czechs made them work. They weren't really ever in a threat to lose the game by the end. And we talked about sort of the getting challenged a little bit in the prelims to get the team going and getting into the tournament. I thought it was really good for Canada to have a game like that. Instead of, in the end, it was a walkover score, but it didn't feel like a walkover game.
See, and I just wonder if it's more important or just as important for Binnington, but to the skaters too. Because they know he hasn't had a good season. They know that there's been a lot of controversy. If there was a goaltending issue or conversation going on for the last 2 months, it's all about Binnington. It wasn't about who was playing the best and who should be there. It was all about, are they really going to take Binnington? Is he really going to be the guy? And I just wonder, sometimes you go into that as a player and you may have a little bit of doubt the way that you played, and you may have played against them, and your team may have beaten him with 3 or 4 goals, and he lost his cool and he took some stupid penalties. But I think that kind of calms the waters for the players in the room, and especially for I'm sure that that one guy in particular, Doug Armstrong, is probably sitting up there going, "I told you guys." And again, like you said, this doesn't mean anything. This isn't. This isn't. They didn't play the U.S. They didn't play. You know what I mean? So they didn't play the Swedes. They didn't play the Finns. They're going to get a different test there. But I just wonder how that mentality sits in, and I just wonder from a coaching standpoint and everything else. When you are the coaches holding their breath, hoping that he's going to have that good game, and when it's all said and done with, we're like, well, there we go. Not necessarily meaning that he is going to be the guy, but I think we all believe that that's the guy they're going to ride along with.
And the Czechs, although they don't have the depth up front, that top line, I love the balance with the skill of Natchez. Obviously, Pasternak is a huge offensive weapon, and Hertl, so skilled, but can go to the net and be. I thought the three of them really complemented themselves. They were just unlucky not to get any goals.
That I said that the other day. I thought that was going to be the only thing I was actually interested in, to see what Natchez and Pasta did with each other. And again, I think they know that they're going to go as far as that line does, and not that they're going to go too far, but they need to basically dominate games that they're going to be in.
All right, we'll talk more about that toward the end of the show because I want to get more thoughts on Thomas Harley from both of you. But up next, Alison Lukan, the Seattle Kraken TV analyst, joins us, and we can't wait to do that next here on DLLS. Getting older is never fun, or at least not when it comes to slow losses of energy or not feeling like you have that same drive that you might have when you're in your 20s or maybe even your mid-30s. But Mars Men is here to help with that so that you can get back to feeling like you did in those peak years. Although you don't have to say it's the 20s, right? Natural ingredients, nothing as far as any injections or anything else. It is just ways to help stimulate your body with real stuff, no needles, no dependency. And it's made in the USA, third-party tested, and they have a 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you.
Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Prize Picks is super simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get your picks right, you could cash in all your favorite sports. Anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, and even esports. That's right. We're talking video games. Download the Prize Pick app today and use code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
All right, we're back here, and don't get mad at us if we react. We do have the USA game on over here. We're going to do a watch-along right after the show today. So, although we should have had a camera on Ryan because he clearly
he needs to be
is
on a
excited.
watch-along.
All right, let's bring Alison on because we're really excited. Our returning champion joining us for the second time from Seattle or from wherever you are, the TV analyst for the Kraken, Alison Lukan, joins us. Alison, thrilled to have you again. Are you in Seattle right now, or did you take it like Luds? Did you take a chance on the break to go somewhere else?
I did go somewhere where there's sun, and now I'm visiting some family, but I will confess that I, too, if you see me looking over the screen, I've got the game on right over there, too. So we're all sickos, but yes, it's great to be here with y'all again.
Well, Ryan is pumping his fist at the producer's chair.
I'm trying not to say things.
Clearly,
we have 3 different streams at 3 different times right now.
Brady Tkachuk might have just scored, so that's good, as we expect. We're going to talk about U.S. later, but I want to get right into this because you, as the Kraken, have a really interesting season going on. We're sitting here in Dallas looking at teams and rosters, talking about you're going to like go after for the trade deadline, and step one is, hold on, everybody. Seattle is a playoff team potentially. So even though and we'll get to some of the names and stuff, but it's as if playing the Dallas Stars was your biggest issue because it was right around Thanksgiving. 5-game losing streak, 1 win, 4-game losing streak. Otherwise, the Kraken season has been quite good.
Well, to your point, they've actually been quite streaky. So they've gone on long streaks of mostly losing and long streaks of mostly winning. But what's been interesting is that for the most part of all of it, the play has been pretty consistent. It hasn't really been about a big lapse in play. They've sustained a ton of injuries. I know we're going to get to it. They've sustained a trade with a player leaving the team as well. But it's a crazy look. I mean, we're not as comfortable over here in Seattle in a playoff position as maybe you all are in Dallas. But 1 win vaults you, 1 point out of first, and 1 loss takes you completely out of contention. So it's a pretty crazy time, but it's pretty fun to see this group get rewarded for a lot of hard work.
Well, Alison, I want to ask you, since you mentioned the trade that we're going to get to later, I'd like to get to it now. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about that guy who's playing for Dallas, that kid?
That guy. Yeah, that guy. That guy. Mason. Yeah.
Let me ask you, Alison, then. So I think Mason had 24, 25 games played there, 29 games or so, had 13 points or so. Why is he a point per game player here? Or I shouldn't say here in Columbus, but that he's not there. Did it have to do with who he was playing with? And because I wanted to ask, I think Mason seems to be that kind of guy. He needs to have those 2 guys, and so 3 of the guys are in sync. So what do you think the difference is?
Yeah, I really, when we talked this summer, I made the point that coach and systems and players all have to mesh, right? And I think that for me, it comes down to a system fit for Marchment. I mean, if you look at how Seattle plays, it's a very Lane Lambert team. It's very defense first. They've had incredible goaltending, some of the best in franchise history. But again, they are defense first. And so he was getting top power play minutes. He was getting top line minutes. Maybe that 2-way ask was just a bigger demand than fit with how he likes to play. I think if you look at a team like Columbus, and obviously now they're going through a little bit of a molding into more of a defensive group as well with their coaching change, but they've got a lot more free-flowing offensive style. They have a lot more younger gunners who are going to go and shoot the puck. They have Marchenko. They have Fantilli when he's going. So I think that it's just truly the systematic style that fit better with how Mason Marchment likes to play and how he best brings his strengths to the forefront.
Alison, I'm going to jump ahead because I wanted to ask you about Mason, but I'm probably only going to get one question knowing these 2 guys. So I'm just going to ask you my question that I want to ask. Artemi Panarin, the news was Seattle made a big offer. I'm curious everything you know about that situation and then why Seattle was a big buyer in that.
Yeah, I obviously, and I say this all the time, Jason Botterill is certainly not sending me daily updates on his plans or strategy. But, I covered Artemi Panarin actually when he was in Columbus. And, he's obviously a very talented player, a little older now, but still can make things happen. From what I take of the situation, I think that this was a bold move of Seattle signaling that they want to be in the market. They want to be in contention for big name players and big talents. And they're not going to be afraid to pay for those players because they have the assets to try and do so. Again, similar to Marchment, having watched Panarin play, and John Tortorella really put him to task a lot defensively when he was in Columbus. Again, would that player have really been the perfect fit with the way that the Seattle Kraken play when they're finding success? I don't know, but is he a game breaker? Yes, he is. So I have no problem with any players fight for the right to control where they do and do not want to go. I'm not taking it personally that he doesn't want to come to Seattle. I'm sure we all have a couple markets that aren't top of our list. But I like the move from Jason Botterill and his team basically saying, we know we need more, particularly on the offensive side. And if we see a player, we're not going to be afraid to throw our hat in the ring because we want it and we'll do as much as we can to try and get it.
Okay, so obviously you mentioned earlier that, and we've talked about this a lot, the difference between living in the murky middle versus being where Dallas is right now. And Dallas lived in that wild card purgatory of are you in, are you out? And the anxiety changes daily. I don't think it's really healthy, but it's the reality of that existence. So knowing that, how do the Kraken make a decision once this break is ended? There's only a week from or like a week and a half, I think. The Stars have 4 games. starting against Seattle, coincidentally on the 25th. But to decide, are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Are you just going to stand pat?
Yeah, I would not want to be the general manager of a lot of these teams right now. And to your point, Seattle has 5 games between the end of the Olympic break and going at the trade deadline. And I think it's a really tough call because, this is a team that, because they made the playoffs early, it kind of set expectations higher than I think the growth plan had been built to. So they have to answer to their fans, I think. And we have all seen these situations across the league. This room has done so much work. They deserve a vote of confidence, in my opinion, from what they've done and what they've been able to put together, particularly with injuries. And to have just 5 games after I think we all played, 206 games in the month of January. I'm still not recovered. But it's a hard ask. If I had to pick one right now, particularly if you look in hindsight of the Panarin move, I think this is a group that's going to try and be confidently aggressive. I don't think they're going to throw away assets for a rental. Is there someone they can get with some term? Is there maybe a trade that they look at instead of just a typical what we might consider deadline move? But as I mentioned, I think the room deserves a vote of confidence. And I think when you talk about the free agents that are in this group, I wouldn't be surprised if there are conversations going on with if those players want to stick with Seattle, want to go somewhere else, maybe what are some initial inklings of what you do after this season. And those things factor in, and we probably won't hear about that till after the season's over.
Allison, I was going to ask you something else, but I can't get the words answering to their fans out of my head. So I think that sometimes the best people to let fans and everybody know what's inside and outside as much as they can is their head coach. So let's talk about the head coach. Because I think there was a little something there a few months ago. Well, I don't know, some guy that worked in the peanut stand was asking the questions or something like that. But how would you sum up Lane and the job that he's done?
Yeah, I'm going to be real blunt on this one. I think that was just a series of very unfortunate events. And if you read the follow-up article that Sound of Hockey, which is a local blog that covers the team, put out with an interview with a member of the PR staff, and from what I've understood of my independent conversations, that was a move by the PR team, not by the coach. Lane Lambert doesn't strike me as a person who's afraid to take questions and who's afraid to answer a tough question or say he's not going to answer it. So I just think that whole event is unfortunate because I totally understand the perspective of how it went down. I like Lane. I think in talking to some of the players, particularly off the record, one of the first things they praise about what he's done is bring an accountability to that room. And you can feel a much more evenness among the group. You can feel much less emotionality. That's a word I'm probably making up right now as I speak to you. But they are truly living that cliche of not too high, not too low. And I think it's a credit to what Lambert does in terms of what he says about the team and how they're going to have to play and how he holds everyone accountable to that. I think if you look at the last couple wins, the team has put out some post-game. Lots of teams do this, right? We know of the coach, hyping up the room and they give away the player of the game award. But I think you really see how he connects to his players and how much they value him. There's a moment where he says, we're taking the morning off before we travel for our last road trip. And to my eye, people who aren't going to just take BS willingly, people who have been around this league, Chandler Stevenson, a Jared McCann, it to me reads as genuine appreciation for how he sees his players and what they need. I like him. I think he's doing a really nice job. And, yeah, I mean, he's not going to show his cards to the media. Remember, he's raised mainly as a head coach in a Lou Lamoriello system. So we're cracking him open a little bit at a time. But I actually have a lot of respect for him, and I like what he's doing with this group right now.
Allison, I agree with you that the Seattle's probably not selling, which is bad for teams like Dallas that had eyes on a few of their players. But
boy, I have a whole feast of the menu from them.
But I'm curious. I'm just going to ask you about Tolvanen as number one, and then the second part of it will be the needs for Seattle. Because if they're going to buy, I'm really curious your thoughts because maybe there's a trade that still works out,
like a hockey trade,
that works out with the Dallas team.
Okay.
So I'm curious just on Tolvanen, that type of player he is, why a team like Dallas would be interested in him, and then the other side, what does Seattle need if they are going to go out and buy?
Yeah, so Tolvanen, I'm a big fan of his game. It was really fun to watch him kind of explode after he's picked up off waivers literally from Nashville, a few years ago. And
what a shrewd move that was, too.
Indeed. And, and again, this is a player who doesn't play. He gets picked off with the waiver wire in December, and he practices with the team to get the systems in, starts a couple weeks later on New Year's Day when they're in a losing streak, and scores a goal in his first 2 games and hardly ever looks back. And we'll talk about his offense first. He's a tremendously talented shooter. He's got just a bomb of a shot that he's not afraid to unleash, particularly valuable on the power play. But it's his detail work, both in terms of puck management and taking the puck away and gaining control of it, and also using his physicality. He's not going to go around banging bodies, but you'll see him make the right kind of hit or put himself in the right kind of positioning to either challenge an opponent when they're trying to advance or keep possession of the puck, and so that he can get it himself. So a few years ago, he was in the top 5 or 10, I do believe, in the league in terms of takeaway plus minus, taking the puck away a lot more than he gives it away. So I just really like him. He's a player that has blossomed under Lane Lambert's system. I think he's being used in the right way in the right roles. And so he's someone that I think is quietly good, right in the middle of the pack. Now, if you talk bigger picture, you can't have a ton of middle of the pack guys, right? So we go back to the Panarin move. If in a perfect world, what does Seattle need? They need an offensive game breaker. I think their defense is pretty sound. Their goaltending has been one of the best, if not the best, in the league this season. So they need offensive, and I'm with you. I think maybe a trade is a different angle. We all talk about how dry the free agent market is already. And so is there a player that wants to come to Seattle or that a team wants to move? And the Kraken have assets. They have a ton of picks going into the next few years' drafts, including 4 first-rounders in the next 2 years. They have some young players now that's both. Well, I don't know. You and your playoff history can talk about that later.
Fair.
You can't complain.
Fair.
But, I think they have assets to move for a team that might need them. So, as I said earlier, and as you guys said as well, maybe it's a trade versus, just looking for something that is just advantageous for the now.
So I would personally jump on Tolvanen because I love his shot. I think the cost would be effective for a team like Dallas. But Allison, last one here because we're out of time, but I got to ask this. Eberle, Schwartz, both very interesting possible pieces. And then trading for Jamie Alexiak again. We've talked about that a bunch. Again, all these things are interesting when we thought that Seattle wasn't going to be a playoff team. And I just don't see Botterill making those moves. I think you're right. I think they deserve adding. Is there any player out there that you've looked at that says this would be a potential target for the Kraken?
Yeah, I'm honestly soaking up a little bit more of this break before my brain goes back into that mode. But no, I mean, I would be looking on the offensive side. And I would say of the players you mentioned that might be available, the first 2, Schwartz and Eberle, those are the players in that group that I was talking about of what does 2 years from now look like in terms of them with Seattle. That might color this more. They've both been really, really strong. I refer to them as connective tissue in terms of the types of plays they make and how valuable they are on the ice. Jamie Alexiak might be available. The defense has proven to be deeper than I thought the Kraken expected it to be. They're regularly scratching 2 defenders that have proven to hold their own at the NHL level, and Dallas obviously knows that player well and knows that if you are going to go into a long playoff run, you can't have too many defenders. So maybe Alexiak, and the other 2, I think it's more of a conversation based on what happens after this season.
Oh boy, Alexiak again, huh?
Well, I mean, I think Luds said if you'd like to give us Vince Dunn, we'd be happy to take him for a low cost.
Unfortunately, I'm going to say no.
Well, Alison, it's a thrill to have you back on. There's a reason why I think you're the first other 31 guests to come back. We had so much fun with you before. Thank you for carving out some time during your break to talk to us. And hopefully, you know what? Maybe round 2 of Stars Kraken playoffs are in the future.
Well, that would be awesome. I love so much about the organization there, and it's fun to watch you guys play, and it's fun to see what the team does, and all that is really, really good. So hopefully.
Well, Allison, enjoy the rest of your break. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Allison.
All right. Up next, that's Alison Lukan, for the TV analyst for the Seattle Kraken. We could talk to her the whole show.
She's great.
But we do have an element we've got to do next,
Cat's
which is
favorite guest.
the damn Discord channel.
Yes.
We're doing that next. Who knows what's going to be asked here on DLLS. Hold on. Guess what? Let's talk about shirts. Look at this shirt. Sam's wearing the chewing gum.
I haven't worn this
Bubble
since,
gum
like, the
Ranger
first day
shirt.
of our show.
We didn't talk about this. I'm wearing the Rangers. This was the Nolan Ryan Robin Ventura shirt. This was part of the Dallas collection.
Yeah.
You have the barbecue shirt for that one, I believe.
I do. Yep. The red one.
There's the amalgamation that still to this day
Bless
is
you.
a huge crutch for you.
Yep.
And
Why did you wear that shirt today?
it was the next one in the pile.
Okay, I was wondering
So,
if you did it by choice. I did it for USA colors.
It actually worked out that way.
that's what I was wondering. I need to see the pile that he's talking about. 'cause
I
have a
told you
feeling
I have.
it's-
It is. I honestly, I kid you not. I have 16 or 17
crazy.
DLS shirts, and I don't.
I have that one.
I don't have the gray flag shirt that Ryan's wearing right now. I don't know if you have a picture of that one.
Ryan
Probably
just doesn't
not,
come
but-
on camera.
But yeah, no, that
Soft.
I should probably get that one. But I have most of the other ones.
Yeah.
I have almost all the stars ones.
Did you see Luds' text?
No, I didn't. Should I?
What'd he
Don't
say?
read it out loud.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh, thank you, Luds. AllDLS.com, the Finnish Mafia t-shirt, Finnish Mafia hoodie, you name it. They're all great. Get them today. Die Hard's 20% off. The merchandise is always worth it.
Luds is such a jerk. Yeah, let's talk about the Supporters Club as well. And as Luds knows, let's talk about it's his favorite thing that we say on the LS. Supporters Club for the true sicko level stuff and for the real ones only. Exclusive emojis, exclusive badges, badgies if you prefer, and you get behind the scenes videos as well. As I said yesterday, my Supporters Club badge is expiring. So if anyone wants to gift me one once again, otherwise I can't watch the behind the scenes videos that I'm even in. So join the Supporters Club. It is a lot of fun. There's all kinds of cool stuff. And as I say over and over and over, when we get to the playoffs, you're going to need that badge so we can see you in the chat. So sign up right now.
We should definitely not let the group chat ever get out because it's funny, but also extremely inappropriate.
Nothing
So
Luds says.
let's
should
bring
ever be
Luds back
public.
on. And we're not going to talk about the merchandise, although it is giving us all a good chuckle here, Luds. And we're glad that none of the airport security have tried to arrest you yet. So that's a good thing. Luds is quickly trying to make sure his computer doesn't lose its power. I think that's what that cord is. There's extreme close-up. All right. Thank you again to Allison. She's fantastic. We could talk to her for multiple segments. We got to keep making sure that she's a regular guest.
She's great.
So awesome. Time for the damn Discord
Send her
channel.
a couple of those shirts.
We should send her a shirt. We should do that. But you know what happens, Luds, when we demand that GM Ben sends the shirt, he gets right on it.
Yeah, I recall.
So, damn Discord channel presented by Ownwell. With tax season coming up, check out Ownwell to see if you can reduce your home's property taxes. Free to try, and users see an average reduction of over $1,100. Head to ownwell.com/Texas to learn more. And I swear the timing's perfect. We go to the damn Discord channel, and the U.S. scores to reclaim the lead after giving up a goal to Latvia.
Yeah, beauty tip by Brock Nelson.
So it's
Minnesota
2-1.
Golden Gopher Brock Faber with the primary assist.
Yeah, they're spending a lot of time, by the way, talking about the number of Minnesota Wild players on Team USA, which
because Bill Guerin is there.
it's very much why. Although, look,
he's a smarter guy than we think.
Quinn Hughes, Rock favorite Matt Boldy, they all deserve to be there. There's no debate that they shouldn't be there. All right, let's get to. Is there an issue
Another
here?
challenge?
Yeah, it looks like it. We're gonna have to dive into this with the watch
I actually don't know
along
how many challenges
in
we get.
our in the next hour. So at 3:00 when this show ends, we'll switch over to our watch along, and then Sam and I will spout off at this game. Let's get to the first DLLS damn Discord question. We start with, I believe, with Harry's, and I can't wait for this one for a couple of reasons. Harry writes in, question for the panel: if your fellow hosts were Muppets, which Muppet would they be and why?
I don't know any of the Muppets.
That was my first question. Was
No.
Sam? Do you
I
know?
think Bert is one. Is that
no,
Muppets?
no, that's Sesame Street.
Yeah, no.
Do
I
you
don't
know
any
any Muppets?
What are the Muppets? I might if you tell me.
Kermit, Miss Piggy,
Oh, the frog. That's
Animal,
Muppets. Yeah, I know.
Gonzo,
I only know
The
those.
frog.
I only know Piggy and,
Animal?
and Kermit.
You know Animal?
No,
the drummer.
no. Oh,
Wow?
that's Sesame Street too. The Cookie Monster. That's
That's
also
Cookie
Sesame
Monster,
Street.
Sesame Street.
Let's
Yep.
rephrase the question with Sesame Street. Then I'm all over.
Okay, Luds. I'll go to you first since Sam does not know any Muppets. If Sam was a Muppet or me, which Muppet would we be and why?
You're asking me?
Sure. I mean, Harry's asking.
I'll go with Scooter Rizzo.
I love it. Do you think Sam should be Beaker,
Kermit the Frog here.
or do you think he should be the Swedish chef?
Oh, I know the Swedish chef. Isn't that the
Wait,
whole
what
thing that was like?
Beaker, you know the little scientist that goes me 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 me.
Oh, he
Hey,
does this?
I gotta be honest with you. I don't know any of them. I just Googled it, and that's the only reason I know who Scooter the Rat is. Rizzo the Rat.
Okay, so I think everybody would assume that because we always make age jokes at
How about
Luds,
Bert?
just like we do short jokes with Sam, that he would be Statler or Waldorf.
This is Luds.
How about
The,
Bird or
the Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock
looking-
Holmes guy is Luds.
Oh,
for
that's
me.
Sesame Street.
What?
That's all Sesame Street.
God.
He's-
Sesame
he's
Street
looking at
characters.
Bert and Ernie.
It says yes.
I
the
think
Sesame
Sean
Street
and I-
characters are Muppets. Boom. Suck it.
Yeah, but they're not on the Muppet Show.
He didn't say the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
he said
I think that's
Muppets.
what he implied. I would
Sticking
say
with the
Sean and I
mustache
are
man.
more Statler and Waldorf. I think Luds is Animal. He's the drummer. He's the one that's going to cause all the chaos. He's going to headbang, and you just don't know what you're going to get with Animal.
Who's this guy
Who?
with the big schnoz?
That's Gonzo.
Gonzo's funny.
You could be Gonzo.
I don't have a
Gonzo's
big-
also
I don't
very
have a big
short.
schnoz, though, do I?
No, but you're very short.
Oh, that's fair.
Okay, let's go to the next one because that's funny. But
Latvia, 2 successful
so it's still 1-1.
coaches challenges to take away goals. JT Miller
He
cost
was
him this
in the
one.
crease. There
Yeah.
wasn't much contact, but we'll get to that. All right, next one up. And let's see. We have socially distant. There's supposed to be an E in there, but that's okay. Yeah, there's a little E. Socially. Anyway, can Finland win gold?
No,
Luds, after yesterday, is that more of a doubt?
no. In my opinion, I think if they're going to have a chance to pull the gold out of there, they've got to be able to give up 2 to 3 goals max. And I just think that if you're playing Canada, U.S., you can see them putting up 3 or 4 goals a game against them. I think the goaltending is what steals these kind of events. So who knows?
I compare Sweden's game yesterday to Finland's game. Now, granted, I think Finland had the harder opponent. Slovakia is better
Certainly.
than Italy. Sweden has a little. It's ironic because we always make the joke, all Swedish, no Finnish, right? That the Swedes have a lot of skill, but don't always go to the net and put the puck in. Actually, it's why I picked Sweden to win bronze and not Finland. I think the Swedes have more depth and more offense to their game. And if it's not the big guns, if it's not Miro, Rantanen, Granlund, Hintz, Aho, basically their top power, I'm not sure where those goals are going to come for Finland.
Yep. I don't think they can win gold. I think they could medal with a huge game from those players you're talking about, in a big goalie game, but I don't think they could win the gold.
Do you think Lankinen gets the next game over Saros in goal?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
do too.
I think he 100%
and that happened
should.
in the Four Nations last year.
Yep.
So, and maybe they had that plan for the preliminaries anyways to get both goalies in.
Yep, and I
but
think Sweden's doing the same thing.
Hey,
I think
let's-
Sweden's switching up too.
do you think losing UPL, Ukko-Pekka Lukanen, was a big blow for the Finns?
Yeah, I think it was huge. But we can't use the drop anymore. That's the only thing I'm talking about.
We can't
Ukko-Pekka
use-
Luukkonen.
I was waiting for it. I wasn't sure if we even had it. I haven't heard that in a long
the
time.
best drop. I love it. All right, let's go to the next one. It's a two-parter, one for Luds and one for Sam. So we'll start with Luds. Clorotis writes in, what's your favorite part of being part of DLLS?
Oh, easily the people I work with.
Luds is understanding that this is short and to the point. So let's get
Was
to
that
Sam.
But was that sarcasm, or was he being honest?
I don't know. We couldn't see his face.
I feel like that was. There's no way that was an honest answer. All right, what's mine? I can't read
Sam,
it.
I'll read it to you. It says, what's been your favorite part of wedding planning? Mine was
None of it.
Hold on. Mine was taking care of my half of the seating chart in about 10 minutes when it took my wife and her mom about an hour and a half to do their part.
I have two answers.
Oh, boy.
One. No, I'm not digging in too much.
Sam's going to get himself in trouble
One
here,
is
Luds.
I got to choose the ring that I got, and I'm getting one with shark teeth in it. Mako shark teeth in it for my dog that I named Mako. So that part's cool. But two, all of the wedding planning that Katie does with her mom and family that leaves me alone to watch hockey by myself. That's my favorite part.
That's
of
your
wedding
favorite
planning.
part? But you get dragged into it.
No, they go and they do stuff out.
Never. So you have
So far, I've been good because we have a dog, so I have to take care of
so
Mako.
you have no say of it.
I don't want to say of it. I get to pick the DJ. That's it.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
all I
okay.
get.
All right.
I'm pretty sure Sam got these questions prior to answering, and he ran him by Katie. So everything was probably approved on what he was going to say.
I can
No,
say
I'm-
that
I'm
you have
safe
he has
during the
not
day.
seen these questions
Yeah,
yet.
I'm safe during the day. Katie's in school, so free man.
All right, let's do one more before the break, and we'll finish it on the other side. S. Bulb. I have a Bork jersey and a Lundqvist jersey. Which one am I least likely to be able to wear again after the trade deadline? That's an interesting way of saying
Yeah.
which one do you think
Yeah.
is going to be traded, Bork or Lundqvist? Luds?
I would say least likely to be moved is Bork. If you're asking just about those two, I would say Bork.
What about you?
Yeah, I say yes, but only because of what Bork has done lately. The only reason I would say the opposite is because no offense to Lundqvist, who wants Lundqvist?
That's my answer.
So I think Lundqvist
That's the biggest piece.
is the least likely to get moved
I
because I don't think he's really that desirable.
I think the ask will be for a big trade piece would be Bork
Yeah.
or Bischel. And I think that if Dallas's biggest need, because Jamie and Matt Duchene have been playing well lately and they can continue that, we keep saying this. Number one need right now is a 4,
Yeah.
right? The second pairing defenseman to play with Thomas Harley. If Drew Doughty's available, let's go get him.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, to me, you're going to need to probably move a defenseman, and I think the Stars would be probably more willing to part with Lundqvist because they're going to need to bring in a defenseman, and
Yep.
you have to there will be too many guys there. But other teams are going to be asking for Bork. Whether or not they were willing to give him up we'll see. All right, up next, more questions, and then if we have time, we'll talk a little bit more about Thomas Harley and Team Canada here on the DLLS Stars podcast. You start this one.
What say you? We talk about being a diehard for 2 minutes straight.
You should talk about the watch
How
along.
does that sound? Guess what? You don't have to be a diehard to be watch.
No, but you should talk
Just
about that
it in
as being a
general.
diehard.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, be a diehard. Alldls.com/diehard or this QR code that's right here. It's so easy when we're actually in studio. I can actually see where it
As
is.
opposed to pointing that
As
way
opposed to
when
just
it's
me and
really-
Luds pointing at each
Yeah.
other. But being a diehard is awesome. You get all kinds of cool stuff. 20% off merch, 20% off events. We will be having more events, I promise you. All of our events have been amazing. We have showed up the other teams here with our successful attendance at these events. So make sure you...
Because the Stars diehards
They're
at
the best.
DLS
They're the
are killing it.
They're the best.
Yeah.
That's how it is. But you also get all the articles that are behind the paywall, as well as no ads for all the articles on the website for all the teams, not just the Dallas Stars. You get all kinds of cool stuff. And today, right after this show, which is in approximately 13 minutes, we will switch over to a watch along for the second and third period of the USA-Latvia game, which is currently a heck of a lot closer than any of us want it to be.
Then it should be.
Hang out with us, and we will talk, and there will be some shenanigans as well.
I love the community aspect of the diehards, right? It's building. We're a year and a half in now, and we're continuing to grow, and there's more diehards. And I don't know if everybody else sees it. I'm sure they do, but I feel like the chat has become more and more intimate's the wrong word, familiar. Because now that we've done a takeover event in our studio, we did one over there. We start to meet some of the people we see in the chat every day. People are in the Discord channel all the time, communicating, talking, and it's created this really fun diehard Stars community. And so every day we know whether Kendra's in the chat and talking about dessert or not, or whether or not I got a haircut, or if she's not there, or if T.O.'s not
Spoiling
there.
the games for people.
For example, like Sam was saying something about T.O. yesterday, and he wasn't in the chat because he was late to the show, which is unacceptable, T.O.
That is unacceptable.
But either way, that's the fun part. Allie up in Edmonton is a huge Stars fan. We missed her for a while. She was in the show yesterday. We hopefully helped spread the news about her charitable efforts with the firehouse up
great.
there, trying to raise money for muscular dystrophy. That's what's a really cool aspect of being a diehard. Speaking of diehards, let's continue our damn Discord channel presented by Ownwell. And our next question comes from Control Alt Owned, which is one of Sam's favorite diehards,
love it.
aka Scott. What has been your favorite game to be at live? Mine has to be the Christmas Miracle in Nashville when notorious Star sniper Yanni Hakanpää got the game winner with 4 seconds left back in 2023. That was where they tied it late and then won it and stunned
Huge game.
the Preds. What about you, Sam? Favorite game you've ever been to live for the
I
Stars?
feel like it's an obvious answer, but the Winter Classic. Yeah,
That was my answer.
I was there as a fan. I wasn't up in the press box, but I actually am glad that happened because now I'll get to be in the press box for the outdoor game at AT&T.
I was there as a member of the,
so
the broadcast.
it was just such a cool event. So we've talked about it before, but one of the cooler moments of my whole life was being at that game and seeing that crazy comeback.
Luds, I'm going to ask you, besides Game 6 in Buffalo.
You stole it.
Because that's it, right? That's got to be your favorite game.
Yeah, I would say if you're talking inside, it was either that game or when we were in Calgary back in 80, whatever that was, 86, for that Game 6. I think that was Game 6 also. But anyway.
That's when you guys beat Joe, right?
What's that?
That's when you beat Nui?
Yeah.
And you reminded him of that, too.
Apparently, according to Nui now, it's not when I beat Nui, it's when I broke his wrist. But but I would say that if it's an outdoor, it would be that game in Dallas for that outdoor event that we had here. I thought it was incredible, and we'll see if the league and the Stars and Jerry and everybody else can outdo that one next year.
So Ardell just wrote in the chat, and he's right. I was at that game. I've been at every game at home for 11, 12 years now. That game it was the end of October 2019. The Stars had been on a really bad losing run to start the year, and you're thinking, oh, Jim Montgomery, he's on the hot seat, right? Because this was year 2. Yeah. They had gotten knocked out by St. Louis in the second round in that double overtime game. They had a terrible run, and it felt like if they lost that game, heads were going to roll. Somebody was going to lose their job, whether it was front office, coaching staff, maybe both, right?
3-0.
They were down.
I think it was 3-0.
I thought it was 2-0, but it could have been. It might have been 3. And Ryan Suter actually scored for Minnesota in that game, and they got booed off the ice. And when Radulov scored, I think it was the end of the second period, a diving shot, ended up getting a hat trick. They stormed back, won that game. They went on a big run, and that was a really fun game. If it was playoffs, the Mikko Rantanen in Game 7 against Colorado last year has to be one of the most iconic playoff ones of the last decade or so, right? Klingberg overtime winner. I mean, you could pick up all sorts of little ones like that. The moment of Jamie Benn winning the Art Ross, the last game, it was a really bittersweet one because they were not making the playoffs, but that was a pretty exciting one. But boy, that Mikko third period hat trick.
That was crazy.
So definitely some great memories in that. All right, Big D Stars. There's been a lot of talk about Dallas needing help on the blue line at the deadline. Could just having Bischel slotted back in the lineup be that boost that's needed, or do we still need more?
Go to Luds.
Luds, you get to take this one first.
Yeah, I mean, all due respect to Liam and what he's going to do in the future, I think we're still talking about a number 4 that can give you that little extra punch. No pun intended from Bischel's side of things, but I think where Bischel fits in is going to be that guy that plays well on his own end and makes it difficult for players. I think like the dude that ended up going from Calgary to Vegas is kind of the style that you're looking for, and maybe Justin Falk kind of type and things like that. I think you're looking for that when you have a top 4 that can consistently get up and down the ice and be effective in both ends of the rink.
Yeah, I think 100% agree with Luds. The one thing I will say for Bischel, I believe Bischel can be a top 4 in the future.
He's just not there yet.
I think S. Lindell, Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen, Liam Bischel could be your top 4 100%. It's just not happening anytime, or not yet.
And the only, again, for me, I know I probably make too much of a deal of it, but 4 lefties in your top 4 is not ideal.
That's it right there, Owen. That's it. I don't think there's another guy. Well, there are other guys, but I think they're very valuable. That is the Miro type that can be as effective on his offside as he is on his strong side. And I don't think that's true. Dallas doesn't have that guy. Even Thomas Harley, I don't think can play on his offside and be as effective as he normally is and should be from his strong side.
And honestly, I know a lot is on Harley, right? He hasn't had the season this year that he had to finish last year. And I'm not trying to blame his partners that he's played with, but I do think it's fair to say that the Stars haven't necessarily put Harley in the best position with the pairings that he has, like they have with Miro and Essa, and that's fine, but an upgrade there would go a long way.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's go to Tyler, HK93. how much does coaching actually matter? Obviously, they make decisions in terms of shifts and systems, but how does it actually affect the on-ice product? Ultimately, this team was a 2nd seed last year and will probably be a 2nd or 3rd seed this year. Luds, how much does coaching actually matter?
Well, I think we brought it up a lot, and my thing is knowing the moment of a game. Again, I'm talking about playoffs, I guess more than anything else. Knowing the moment in a game or in a series when it's time to make an adjustment in what you're doing, whether it's D zone, your power play, a penalty kill that an opponent's power play is seeming to have a way with you. You got to get your PK tweaked a little bit. So I just think it's knowing that time, and to go along with that is the proper kind of communication and being able to keep. And I'm talking about coaches. I'm talking to keep your composure at certain points. And again, it sounds like I'm talking about the guy before, and I'm not. I'm just saying that that's in general, because, and I guess we could go back to last year. You lose you lose your composure a little bit, and you say things, and you don't take a time to take a breath and whatever that may be, because you have to remember that the 22, 23 guys that are playing in the playoffs or at any moment, they're doing everything they can to win the hockey game. They're not trying to sabotage it. It's not like anybody's on their own agenda at that point. So I just think that yes, it's the head coach, but it's his staff that has to have the right conversation. And we've heard so much about Bones and how he communicates with his players and how they love him and everything that he does. I do think that Gully is more like Bones than the previous couple of guys that may have been behind the bench.
I'm going to give you an assist from soccer because Luds loves it when I do that. But
awesome.
Roberto Martinez, he coached Everton. He was the Belgian national team coach, been all over the place. He made a comment that said that he felt a head coach, a good one, can maybe affect 5 to 10% of a team's ultimate season. I don't know if that is the same percentage in hockey, but to Luds' point, it's a lot about the players, matchups, communication, how you prepare them, whether it's video, on-ice practices, that kind of stuff does matter, right? I think even though we always expect professionals to bring their best game all the time, it's a long season, that grind. I think a coach can really help making it fun to go to the rink every day or not fun. And that can ultimately affect it, even if it's indirectly rather than directly.
That's the side that I was going to go with, is the mental side. The adjustments on the fly, we all know that a great coach can have that effect on games. But the mental side of it, I know they're professional athletes, but they're still human. It's very easy to be on a bench and be frustrated with an official or something like that. If you look up and your coach is screaming his head off at the official at the wrong time, you can lose that game just like that because you are now worrying about that. You're frustrated. You're getting agitated. The coach, and Goldton's been great at this, his job is to know when to go off, when to scream, whether it's at his team, when to argue with a ref, when to be calm, when to say, hey, who cares? Shake it off. Let's move forward. That part of it, I think, is the most important part for a head coach.
All right, let's go to Kleb, a.k.a. Caleb. We found that out, I believe, at our Cosm trip last year, that Kleb is actually Caleb. Oh. Who are y'all's Olympic dark horse team / upset picks to medal? So Sam and I named those yesterday. We'll say them again in a minute, but Luds didn't get a chance to answer that question. So Luds, aside from your medal picks, which you gave us yesterday, who do you think is the sleeper team that might surprise some people and sneak into the podium?
I'm going to go with the Czechs. I just think that now maybe a little more confidence there. I was going to say Germany, but I don't think it's there. I'm curious. I didn't hear who you guys said.
I said Czechia as well. I said goaltending could be huge for them to be able to upset one team.
For me, and this was before watching Slovakia surprise Finland, maybe they'll do it. I think Switzerland is not going to be an easy out. And
they look great
watching
today.
them today, Roman Josi is still very much a big marquee defenseman. He runs that team, and he's so good.
You know what they got in Roman is they got a guy that could have won a Norris Trophy a couple different times in the last few years, but what they got is they got a guy that was injured and had almost a half a season to rest.
Yep.
And motivated just to play hockey again. It doesn't mean about playing for Nashville. It just means to play hockey again. And he may be the most motivated and clearly as close to healthy as he has been in maybe months. And so I agree with that. He looks great.
So before we go, we have one more question, and then I don't know if you guys want to have. We have no time left to talk about Thomas Harley. We can do it on the watch along maybe, or tomorrow's show. By the way, Mike Heika will be in studio tomorrow with Sam and me. So that is very interesting. But Yoon writes in, if the Stars season so far was a movie, what movie would it be? I'm looking at Sam first. Because I know Luds' answer is, I haven't watched any movies in the last 20 years.
It's really hard. Now I wish I had seen this question. I would have thought about it. Do you have one?
I do not. Because the season's not over. I don't know.
I'm just going to think of recent movies.
I don't know how you pick a movie when you don't know the ending.
So far.
I know. What's a roller coaster one, like snakes on a plane?
yeah. A roller coaster is a good one. I'm going to say the new remake of Vacation.
With Ed Helms.
Yes, because
and Christine Applegate.
A lot goes wrong consistently. However, they still find their way to Wally World in the end, and I think this team has gone through
I don't think
an
they've had
incredible
that much
amount of injuries at the beginning of the year.
True, but they've been winning more than they haven't, so it's not like the minivan is blown up.
It's fair, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to go with Jurassic Park because everything looked great early. Then the dinosaurs got out and there's some threat, but we still think that in the end, most of the main characters are going to survive.
That's good because at the beginning, there were the people that had doubt because it didn't feel like it was perfect, but it was working. That's like the Stars early on. So I like that. You could say World or Park.
All right, Les, before we sign off, your thoughts about Harley's game today for Canada?
Well, I think when you look at the opportunity, I think it was a bit of a surprise for a lot of people. And I don't know if that meant let's just give him a game. And because he may have been the 7th, 8th guy, let's give him a game, see how he reacts to it. To come out of it with a couple points and feel good about the win and everything like that. I think Thomas had a pretty decent game with everything that's led up to it, meaning the season, the controversy, when all this other kind of stuff. So I think what he did is he stepped up to the plate at the proper time.
If you're a Dallas Stars fan, you had to love watching him play today and see what he did.
Yeah, I think he looked really good, and I think he played the most minutes of the team, second most in the whole game. I know he's bumped up there because Morrissey was hurt, which means he's going to have more opportunity to play bigger minutes. I loved the little kerfuffle with Roddick Fox. I thought that was hilarious, but a big vote of confidence for Harley moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, we're done today. This is it for Luds for the week because he won't be on the show tomorrow because we have Heika in studio. But Luds will be back on Monday, and would you like to tell everybody who's going to be joining Luds, me, and Ryan?
Luds doesn't even know because he couldn't hear us at the beginning of the show.
That's what we're trying to tell him as his speakers were cutting up.
Yes. Monday we'll be joined by new second girl dad, if that was the right way of saying that.
Interesting way.
And Colorado Avalanche goaltender Scott Wedgwood for the first half of the show. And probably, as Scott told me when he texted me back, it'll probably be an hour because I answer questions with quite a lot of words.
He's going to talk for the whole show, Luds.
Wedgie's get on our show more than our own Dallas Stars are on our show.
He should be. He should just be in the seat.
We should bring that up.
Oh, that's a good
Scott
point. We should yet tell the PR team. Listen,
hey,
former goalie has been on our show more than current players.
Yes, I agree. I think we should definitely bring that up. All right, Luds, enjoy your weekend in Blaine, and then I'm sure we'll talk to you about sledding again next week. But thank you very much for Luds and Sam and Ryan.
Luds, be safe.
I'm Owen. We are going to do a watch along for the second and third periods of USA Latvia. They're in the intermission right now. We will start that in just moments. New link on YouTube. Check out our Twitter page if you didn't get it. We'll send that out, and hope you stick around and hang out with us here on DLLS.
Going down on hell.
Buck.
We all silly like the mayor.